Hey guys, Saint here, and I'm going to be talking about the patch 5.1 patch notes. This is also the new season patch, which will probably be the first patch that LCS is played on. So I think this is actually a pretty important patch. And also this will be the first patch where for the 2015 ranked season. So I'm sure everybody wants to get a head start right out of the gate and try to hit pretty high level rank. So I'm going to talk about this patch. First big change in the game is the overlapping crowd control effects. Apparently, they've coded it this way, and I don't believe them until I see it in game, because this might be one of those like Shen changes or something where they say they fixed it, but they might not have fixed it. But apparently, they made it to where you can actually stack CC now, and people won't have a chance of getting out of it. Because there's a lot of times when somebody will be CC'd, like you'll like thresh hook them, and then maybe like somebody will throw a stun on top of that, like a Jarvan EQ or some type of CC that you should be permanently CC'd in that duration. But with the way the game was coded previously, you could get out. You had like a very, very small window, like maybe like a tenth of a second, where you could, if you were just sitting there spamming your flash button, you could get out of the CC and you could get away. But hopefully they fix that bug. They say now that you should be able to actually CC lock most people in most situations. And also, yeah, fix the long-standing bug where champions of overlapping crowd control effects could occasionally use abilities Flash, Zhonya's Hourglass, while transitioning between disables. This will be turned on at a later date in the patch, so this will be coming later in the patch. But they said that the actual coding for the CC stacking is going to be implemented right away, like even before the patch is turned on. So hopefully that works. They did Alistar. They like changed his VFX and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't really affect the game at all. Ari, they changed their splash art. That doesn't really matter. Azir fixed a bug where Sand Soldier would appear to attack but fail to do damage. I've never actually experienced this bug, and Azir is like banned in almost every single game. So yeah, I don't think that's gonna make that big a deal because this champion's broken anyways and probably won't be played that much because he's gonna be permanently banned. Corki, they changed his mana cost on his Valkyrie to 100 from 50. Actually, I think this is a really good change to Corki, mainly because if you remember a while back, they changed a lot of Corki's mana values. I think it was like, it might have been like a half a year ago or even a year ago. And they never really tweaked him, I guess, afterwards. Like, because people started going Triforce when Triforce got buffed and became popular. And then Corki didn't really have any mana problems. And it just makes him able to poke you endlessly because Q doesn't really cost that much mana. And on top of that, his rockets don't cost much mana either. So this is going to make you think about your mana a little bit more because Corki is really, really strong right now, and pretty much he goes toe-to-toe with everybody in lane except for maybe Graves right now, so I think this is a good nerf. His mid-game's way too strong. Elise, the maximum damage bonus versus monsters has been upped by 25 in both Spider Farm and the Human Farm. When I was seeing this buff before, I thought this was 25 damage increase to like champions as well, but it's only to monsters, so I honestly think Elise is still going to not be that good because the main problem with Elise right now is she is a champion that doesn't have an ultimate, so her scaling is kind of weird. And yeah, she just doesn't scale in the late game very well. She basically just becomes a CC bot. Even if you have like a Void Staff or you build AP and you have like a little bit of tank with it, like that's the best case scenario. But right now in the jungle, it's so hard to get all that gold that you're just going to be outshined by something like a Jarvan or a Rek'Sai, or like even a Lee Sin will outshine on Elise late game. So I don't know. I think Elise needs a little bit more tweaks before she becomes really good. I think she has the lowest win rate out of all the junglers at like 40-something%, like low 40s. It's like 42% or something. She doesn't even have a 50% win rate right now. And Riot thinks that this is the buff that's going to tweak her. I don't know. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. She needs more buffs. Let's see. Evelyn, they made the Shadow Walk mana regeneration while stealth is now doubled to 2%. Whoopee! Yay! That's the problem with Evelyn. She's running out of mana. Nope. And then now, her E applies on hit effects. And strikes no longer apply spell effects. Alright. I don't know, man. These are not the changes Evelyn needs. I actually think that Riot really hates champions like Evelyn and Shaco and all the stealth champions. They really hate their playstyles because if you become good at understanding how to manipulate stealth and vision, it becomes almost impossible to counterplay it. Like good Evelyn players, when she was popular, there was zero counterplay. Even if you bought a pink ward, I'm just going to walk around the pink ward and I'm still going to kill you. And Riot really hates that kind of play style. So I think that Riot understands that this isn't a buff that's going to actually make Evelynn viable or good. Um, and I'm actually not sure why they even like implemented these changes. It's almost like a slap in the face. Like what the changes Evelynn needs is that she needs to be more durable in her clear, and she also needs to have a little bit more sustain. Like she needs to have some way of gaining back health or gaining tank stats, or even like more damage to clear the jungle even faster. But you got to remember they nerfed her Q in the early game a little while ago, so she just doesn't have any of these things. Evelynn's actually one of my favorite junglers when she was popular. She's a really powerful champion, and none of these changes are going to do anything for the champion. So just completely ignore that. She's still crap in the jungle. Yeah, like such as Blade the Ruin King and Devour enchant and the Sheen family. It's like whoopee. Like none of these matter. I don't know. Anyways, and who builds Devour on Evelynn anyways? Like, that doesn't, like, go with your Q at all. Or even Blade of the Ruined King. Blade of the Ruined King only adds 25 AD, so your Q's not going to do much either. It just doesn't make sense to me. Alright, Fizz. Urchin Strike. Now we strike. Fix the bugs where Fizz wouldn't proc Sheen if Urchin Strike was used too close to the target. I've actually seen this bug a lot of times, and it made it to where you wouldn't get kills with Fizz. Fizz used to have a lot of bugs, and I think this is one of the last ones they're going to iron out. Where he's going to be completely just like working well, but I don't really think it matters. Like Fizz is still the same champion. He still snowballs really hard if he gets ahead, and he has a weaker laning phase. Nar, the cooldown refund on his catch is now 45%, and it scales up as you get levels in his ultimate. You see increases boomerang throw cooldown refund on catch to 50, 55 to 60. This is going to make his early laning a little bit weaker, but at the end of the day, Nar at level 16 is still going to be the same annoying champion. Even at level 11, like 55%, or even level 6, like 15% less of the cooldown reduction is like not that much. It's like honestly not that big a deal. Like Nar is still going to be the same champion. He's still going to have a really, really strong laning phase, and he's still going to have like good team fighting when he has Mega Nar up. So nothing really much has changed here. Hecarim. This is actually one of the changes I really like in this patch, and I know Keen is really excited for this, as well as like a lot of the people that are playing top lane Hecarim. Like I know Darius is playing the fuck out of top lane Hecarim right now, but he actually does have a lot of really good matchups. But now the Q Rampage costs 4 less mana in the earlier ranks, and it's just a little bit less mana in the earlier ranks, where like Hecarim has a problems, because like Hecarim's early laning phase is a little bit wonky, and the same thing with his jungle clear. Like you run out of mana extremely fast. And then this is the big change that they did. The Spirit of the Dread now heals you for 90 as opposed to 60 at level 1. So this is going to give Hecarim a lot more sustain in the jungle. And I think he actually might be a decent jungler. As well as his lane sustain will be pretty high too. I think Hecarim's going to be really strong with these changes. He actually might be a really popular jungler in the next patch. And there's a couple things that I'm going to talk about later that actually will be helping Hecarim as well. But I'll talk about those later. But Hecarim definitely might be a viable pick pretty soon in the jungle. And he's definitely popular in the top lane. He's going to be really good. And, of course, Keen just plays the shit out of him in the mid because he just doesn't give a fuck. Janna, they made the missile width on her Howling Gale 120 instead of 150. This is actually a really good change because Janna, she can cockblock so hard, it's ridiculous. Like, it is so hard to get through Janna once she gets some AP and she starts getting some CDR. Like, she will... This is impossible. Like, the Howling Gale is too easy to hit. It's too easy to, like, counterplay people. Like, a driving EQ's in. So easy to Q him out of it. So this is going to give you a little bit more breathing room. Good nerf to Janna. I hate this champion so much. Jace, they changed the Hypercharge to be 110% of total attack damage rather than 130 at max rank. This is a good change because what people were doing with Jace is they were building full AD with Last Whisper and then getting an IE on top of that. So basically, if you IE crit with 130% attack damage... Like, basically, you take 1.3 of your AD and then multiply it by the IE crit modifier. So you end up with, like, a 1,500 damage W or some random-ass shit like that. Like, you literally just one-shot people in the mid and late game once you got the item. So, this is going to, like, hit Jace pretty hard. I think he'll still be a viable champion, but he'll just be a lot less popular. Like, he's already falling out of popularity right now. It's kind of surprising to see this nerf coming this late into the game. I thought this nerf would have come a lot sooner, because like nobody really even plays Jace right now. He doesn't really have that many good matchups, to be honest. Like he has mostly farming matchups at the moment. But like at the time, like right now, engaged champions are really popular, so Jace isn't that popular. Callista. So, martial pose. Stay flexible. While Callista still can't cancel her basic attack, she can select a different target during the first moments of her basic attack windup. This is, I think, mainly meant for last hitting as well as, like, changing targets in a team fight. I don't know. I don't really play a lot of Callista, so that doesn't... I'm sure that's what it's for. And then Sentinel, Soul Mark cooldown per target is now 6 seconds. And the Soul Mark duration is 1.5 seconds. This is what I don't like. They're buffing Callista, but I actually think Callista right now, when she becomes played at like peak efficiency and peak level, I think Callista is going to be absolutely insanely strong. Like, I've seen people playing her at a pretty high level, and I think Callista right now, without these changes, is really strong. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, after the LCS starts, to see them nerf Callista right after they did this. It's mainly that people don't understand how to play Callista because people haven't watched the LCS and seen how to like play her at peak efficiency. So people think she's not that strong of a champion because she actually is really hard to play and hard to play at a high skill cap. So Callista didn't need these changes. They needed to let the champion sink in a little bit more before they gave her these buffs. Nautilus. They changed the base shield strength. They lowered it to 65 to 85, and then now the shield scales off of ramping up all the way up to 70% of your maximum health as opposed to bonus health. I did the math on this. Late game, this is going to give you more health, but the early game is still like relatively the same. I don't know, man. This isn't the change that Nautilus needs. Like, it's so obvious the change that Nautilus needs. Like, I really wish Riot would just, like, it's tank junglers. The reason you can't play a tank jungler right now is because they have no effective way of doing damage in the mid and late game, and they also have no effective way of doing any kind of damage in the early game. Like, they can't skirmish very well. If Nautilus fights a Lee Sin or a Jarvan or a Rek'Sai in the jungle, or even in like an exchange, like let's say we 2v2 top, right? And my shield falls off, I literally do 0 damage. I do absolutely no damage. And the big problem with this is, yeah, you'll never win skirmishes. There's no point in the game where you can win a straight head-to-head fight with the other jungler. And that basically means that, like, why would I want to bring Nautilus? Like, yes, he has a lot of CC, but I can't effectively fight over... I can't pressure things, and I can't fight over things very well. I think there's two ways they can change Nautilus here. They can either make it to where Nautilus has his W damage even after the shield falls off, but the problem with that is he'd probably become, like, really OP in the top lane. And he'd probably just become OP in general because he would just do way too much damage overall. And then the other change they can do is they can move the damage over to his E and give his E a lower cooldown and more damage. They need to give him damage somewhere to the point where he can actually skirmish and effectively fight people. And that damage shouldn't be as high as Lee Sin's, Rek'Sai's, or Jarvan's because he is a tank jungler and he does have a lot of CC. But he does need to have a way to fight them at some point in the game. So hopefully Riot will look at that and maybe tweak the number of values as well. Oh yeah, another thing I want to talk about tank junglers is you have no way of effectively scaling into the late game with your damage. Because he's a magic damage based jungler, there's not really that many tank magic damage based items that are like cost effective to buy with a champion like this. Like Lee Sin, he can go straight into warrior and he's good to go. Like, he's going to do a really good amount of damage. Same thing with Jarvan, same thing with Rek'Sai. And then they can build bruiser items after that. There's not really that many good, effective AP bruiser items in the game. Like, there's like Leandries and like Sunfire. But if you really look at the stats on those and how they actually effectively scale with abilities, they're just not really efficient items. So another way you could actually buff tank junglers is to give them actually good build paths and give them items that they can look to build in the mid and late game. Like Abyssal, that's another item. Like, that's a good item and they buffed it. But what is your build path going to look like? Are you going to get Ancient Golem Abyssal with Ninja Tabby? Like, that's just not going to be as good as the Lee Sin with the Warrior. And on top of that, that's an expensive item. So, I don't know. Yeah, the tank junglers just need, like, a whole overhaul, man. Like, I would, like, actually want to, like, go to Riot and, like, sit down and work with the design team over... Like, because I love tank jungles, but they're just not good. I want to sit down and, like, work with them and, like, help them out. But, I don't know. Maybe someday. Alright, Rek'Sai, the broken piece of shit champion that has no balance whatsoever. Let's... Alright, Queen's Wrath, base damage. They lowered it to 75 instead of 95. Oh boy, 20 damage. And they also lowered the AD the Bonus attack damage at all ranks. They lowered it by 0.1. This is not going to hurt Rek'Sai that bad. She'll still clear extremely fast, and she'll still be able to like do a ton of damage to you. Her Q is really good overall. It's still going to be fine. Like, that's not that much damage nerf. Prey Seeker, they lower the ability power ratio on the Q. That's really only like a solo Q thing, or maybe if you get a Triforce. But in competitive, people are just going to get the Warrior enchant, and then they're probably going to go full tank, or get a Ghostblade and go full tank. So this doesn't really do anything either. And then Unburrow, the bonus attack damage ratio, and I remind you, that's bonus attack damage, not total attack damage. They lowered the ratio on that from 0.1. Same thing, you're going to probably be building tank Rek'Sai with like either a Hydra in the top lane or a Ghostblade as your second item in the jungle if you are building any damage. And neither of these things really affect the actual reasons why the champion is super strong. The champion is super strong because A, she can one-shot almost any squishy in the game, and B, she has very crazy gank pass. Like, it's really hard to ward against her because she can come from almost anywhere, and she has really good CC on top of that. So Rek'Sai is still going to be really strong, I think. They need to nerf her a little bit more. That, or they need to buff the other junglers, which I don't think that they're going to be doing anytime soon. Renekton. This guy is like randomly popping up every now and then. So the Fury Decay is now 4 Fury per second instead of 2. And the healing versus minions is now 9 plus 0.04 attack damage. I'm not sure the math on that. I'd have to do the math, but I'm sure that the healing versus minions actually ends up being higher. And then the empowered one, it went from 10% damage to 27 plus 0.08 attack damage. So let's say you have like, what kind of damage do you usually have on oh, it's bonus attack damage. I just realized that. It's not total attack damage. So your average Renekton will maybe build a Tiamat, which is like 40 AD, and he very rarely will build it into a Hydra later. You might even get a Brutalizer. So let's just say that Renekton has like, what, 65 AD? So let's do the math on this. Calculator. Alright, so let's say Renekton has 65 AD times 0.0. We'll do the 0.0. 0.04 equals 2.6. So you get 2.6 plus, you get about 12 healing per a minion that you hit. If you hit like 6 minions or something like that, which is probably what you're going to average be hitting if you're in a minion wave, or maybe even like 4, that's not that much healing, to be honest. It's a little bit more, I think, overall, if you like look at the numbers, but it's not that much more. And then also we have like healing versus champions. Instead of 20%, it's 0.12 bonus attack damage with the 27. And then the power is 81 plus. Yeah, it's honestly not that much of a buff. I think it's like if you build full AD Renekton, it might be a buff, or it's just, yeah, people don't build full, like, this is bonus attack damage. I don't get that. Like, why would they make it bonus attack damage rather than total AD? So weird. And then Fury Generation on non-champion hit is 2.5 per target instead of 5. That's really good. You actually have a way of building Fury a lot faster now. And then Fury Generation on champion hit is 10 instead of 5. These are the two buffs to the ability I like, is the Fury Generation. As opposed to this healing numbers, this is irrelevant. Like, that's not that big a deal. But what's actually going to matter is these two things, the Fury Generation. And then W now generates 10 Fury as well, so that's really good. It'll allow you to generate Fury a lot faster. And then the Slice and Dice, 2.5 Fury per target hit, and Fury Generational Champion is 10 Fury. And that's, I'm pretty sure that's only on the dice, not the actual second part of it. So Renekton's just going to have a way of actually generating Fury now. So maybe people will build a little bit more attack damage on him, but I still think that the most attack damage people will ever get is maybe a Hydra with a Brutalizer. So, I don't know. I'd have to see him played in game, but he's just not really that popular right now. He has a really strong laning phase, but he's not super good against a lot of the champions that are played right now at the moment. Rumble. Fixed the bug where the cooldown between Harpoon cast is shorter on Super Galaxy Rumble. I didn't even know that. Passive. It's just bug fix or somewhere. Skarner. So they lowered the mana cost on Crystal Slash on the later levels. It's basically like a 4 mana reduction at the later levels, which I don't think is the problem with Skarner at all. Like, yeah, you run out of mana on Skarner, but it's like, I don't know. That's not the change he needs. And then on the E change, it goes to 10 seconds when you have max rank of it. Nobody maxes the E anyways. Like, you max the W seconds. So this change doesn't matter at all either. So these are like two of the changes that Skarner doesn't need. What Skarner needs to have for his changes is they need to unnerf the base damage, or unnerf the damage nerf that they did on the Q when he originally came out. I thought when Skarner came out, he was a very balanced champion, and I thought he was like a high second tier jungler, and he could be played situationally, and he is actually really decent. And then they just randomly nerfed him, like when he wasn't even like a broken champion either. Like it made no sense. I think they just need to undo that nerf, that when he originally came out, because I definitely didn't think he was broken by any means. Sona base movement speed is now 325, and Hymn of Valor. Like, I don't know why they nerfed Sona either. Like, Sona is not really that strong right now. Like, she's not... They're just going to make her even slower and even easier to kill. It's like... I don't know. I don't get that. It's just... Whatever. Sona sucks. Syndra, they nerfed the damage on her Q at earlier ranks by 20. This is actually a super big nerf because it makes her early trading a lot weaker, and it makes her ability to CS a lot weaker if you actually do like to CS with the Dark Sphere. So, I don't know. And also, Dark Sphere's knockback by Scatter the Weak are now more strict in the hitbox radius. I think this is actually really big nerfs to Syndra. I'm sure she'll still be played a little bit, but her laning phase got hurt pretty fucking bad because of this. So, I don't know. I think she won't be played as much as some of the other more popular champions right now, but she'd still be decent. They did the bug fix to Xerath. Not really changed them, anything like that. It's still 2.25, but I'm pretty sure the tooltip said 2. They just made a comment on Zed how they're going to nerf him, but they didn't do anything yet. What else we got? Map textures, that doesn't matter. Turret aggro. Let's see here. We won't remove this patch note in the middle of the night like last time, leaving you to wonder if seeing things, mainly because we're pretty sure it's fixed this time. What we're saying is, okay, it says Flash and other movement abilities that relocate champions hitbox no longer drop turret aggro if used at certain times. This is like a really weird bug, and it's like, it doesn't always happen. I've seen this like happen a lot though, where you like randomly drop turret aggro from doing weird abilities. We'll see if they actually changed it. The base gates. These are really interesting, and I think the main purpose of a base gate is to be able to get back in your base. There's two purposes. The first purpose is to be able to get back in your base really quickly if you get out-rotated. Like, let's say you're contesting the blue and you're on purple side, and the enemy team is, like, on the left side, like, near mid lane, and you're on the right side and you're contesting blue, and the other team just says, fuck it, and they just storm down mid and just start going ham on your turrets. Before, you'd be fucked, and there's nothing you could do, and you just instantly lose the mid turret, and you would just get out-rotated. That's like a very standard rotation in high-level play. But now you can actually just go through the base gate, and you won't get out-rotated. So this is actually kind of dumb for high-level play because it takes a little bit of skill out of it, but it gives people a little bit more breathing room where they can actually think about things. And then the other bonus that this gives you is if you're defending your base, you could make a flank play. Like, let's say I'm Jarvan, and I want to get around on the side and get to their AD carry, or even like a Zed, or anything that needs to flank to be effective. I'm going to be able to go on the side where the base gate is, and if they don't have that warded, I'm going to be able to come in from the side and like flank on their carries and make a really good initiate, which I really like because, A, not that many people understand flanking in lower level play, so I think hopefully it'll teach people to look for those options. Smite. Let's see here. So now you get charges of Smite. You get 1 per 75 seconds with a maximum of 2 Smite charges at any time. I wonder when that starts. Does that start from level 1, or does that start from when minions spawn? I have to figure that out. Oh, wait, never mind. Here's Smite starts with 1 charge and only begins to gain additional charges of 140. So that's fine. And Smite now has a cooldown of 15 seconds. I think the main reason they did this was so that, like, let's say I'm in the middle of a fight and I chilling smite somebody to get the kill. I don't have smite now to secure an objective, and I think that's the main reason they do things like this, so that you actually have it. Yeah, here it is. When you think about it, Smite's a pretty cool ability for a lot of reasons. Securing buffs, hordes against smite. Yeah, it's pretty much what I just said. I didn't even read it, and that's pretty much what they said. Right, jungle AI. So now you can't do the leashing things with TF and things like that where you just kite the minions around. But honestly, I never really did that to begin with. Like, I just face tank stuff for the most part. So this doesn't really change that much. I wonder how this affects Dragon and Baron, though, because there's a lot of times when you shift around the aggro on Baron and Dragon, and they'll, like, spaz out. So hopefully this doesn't affect them in that way. You can't ward inside Dragon now. One of the problems is people are warding right where the dragon spawns, or right in the stomach, and you couldn't kill the ward because the dragon's model was so big. And you just had like a really safe ward if you put that on there. So now dragon's gonna knock away wards just like Baron does. So that's actually a pretty good fix. All these changes, they basically made Baron weaker when it spawns, but I think Baron will actually ramp up to being pretty strong in the late game once it actually has like the health and AD scaling as it ramps up throughout the game. And same thing, they just basically made Baron weaker in the earlier game and then stronger in the late game. So yeah. All right, jungle scaling. Champions receive less experience if they cleared monster camp is 2 levels / 3 levels lower than their own. Yeah, they just want junglers to be more efficient, which I like because in Season 3, they wanted, like, conservation and things like that allowed you to be a lot more efficient in the jungle. And this is, like, moving more towards the Season 3 jungle as far as, like, efficiency with jungle pathing and things like that. So this is a good change because I think this really goes hand in hand with the smite change as well because I think Rangers will be a little bit more popular since they nerfed chilling smite, which I'll talk about later. But I think people that understand how to efficiently farm and gank are going to get a bonus out of this. Item changes. Trinkets, unenchanted jungle items, and boots can now be exchanged. Oh boy! That's actually so good. That saves time. Trinkets can be exchanged with other trinkets of equal level. Cost is calculated at 100%, and the new trinket minus 70% of cost of old trinket. It's sellback. 120-second new trinket cooldown still applies. So this basically just makes it where you don't have to sell your trinket and then buy a new one, which is the most frustrating thing ever that they had that in the game for a long time. So I'm really glad that they actually finally put that in the game. Exchanging oracles, sell back for the trinket, will not refund gold. Interesting. Unenchanted jungle items can be exchanged with another unenchanted jungle item for free. Jungle items and enchants can't be exchanged. Okay. That's alright, whatever. Boot enchants can now be exchanged. Cost is calculated. Boots. Oh, so you can actually change. If you have like home guards, you can change to alacrity. I like that a lot. Exchange tech hasn't been built out for Rengar's Bone Tooth Necklace. Sorry, kitty. Alright, this is a weird item. The ZZ portal. I haven't really experimented with this much, but the item looks pretty expensive at 2,800 gold. And it basically gives the same stats as like a GA, so I don't know. It just looks like a weird item. I mean, yeah, you build up 30% movement speed. Maybe it's an initiation tool. But at 2,800 gold is a pretty expensive item. And unless, like, the Void Gate spawning things are actually really good at killing turrets, I'd much rather spend that 2,800 gold on another item. But I have to see how good the little Voidlings are at killing turrets. So we'll see. I don't know. I have to see it in-game before I make any judgments on this item. Because I haven't really looked at it on PB that much. But this is the big determining factor. 2,800 gold for 50 armor. And 50 magic resist. So it's about a 1,500 gold efficient item, or it's 15 to 1,600 gold worth of stats, and then you're dropping out like that extra like 1,200 gold to get this gate. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Hunter's Machete now gets 15 gold on monster kills as opposed to 10, so that's nice. More gold for the jungle. God bless. I'll always take more gold. And Tier 2 and Tier 3 jungle items now give 30 bonus gold. So this is going to make it even more incentive to not early gank with junglers and to go back and get your upgraded jungle item and to power farm it out. So I think right now in the current patch, the game is just like, there's so many people that just get Stalker's Blade and just like gank the living shit out of people early. And like they don't even clear their jungle. Like, they just get the Stalker's Blade, and every time their smite's off cooldown, they'll just, like, go gank a lane, because the slow is so broken. And, like, there's no incentive to farm the jungle, because you didn't really get that much gold anyway, so this is going to help that out. And on top of this, they changed Chilling Smite to not 50% movement speed slow, but to steal 20% movement speed from the target. So it's like Malphite Q. I think this is a big nerf overall for the item, but on some champions, like Hecarim, where he gets his passive scaling off of movement speed, I think this is actually a really big buff for a champion like that. And I might end up getting Stalker's Blade on him. I have to see how much it increases my damage before I decide, though. I think Rangers is going to be the best bet in most situations, though, since they did this change. GA, they lowered the price by 50 gold. Who cares? I always thought GA was a terrible item, and I still think it's a terrible item. It's just not a good item, period. Even if you're, like, trying to deny resets, I'd rather drop that 2,800 gold on a Randuin's or a Banshee's. Infinity Edge now does 20% crit when you get it. So this is going to nerf 80s early and mid-game, because a lot of times 80 carries were going Infinity Edge into Ghost Blade or Infinity Edge into Static Shiv, and just like banking on the fact that Infinity Edge's crit was so fucking broken. But now what's going to happen is you just have less crit, so you're not going to get that really big power spike until you get the PD, because they took that crit off of it and they shifted it over to PD. So I think Infinity Edge PD is going to become a lot more popular, and people will also stop getting Shiv as much, because this is a big damage increase over Shiv, that 5% crit. Morello Nomicon, they increased the cost by 200, which is really good because a lot of mid laners and even top laners were getting this item and getting way too fucking powerful. Even supports were getting this item because it was so fucking efficient. Like 2,800 gold, or 2,100 gold for 80 AP, a lot of mana regen, 20% CDR, and like the healing debuff. Like, this is just too many stats for what it gives. And Athene's just got completely overshadowed because of this. So I think people start getting Athene's again, and Morello Nomicon type AP carries will become a little bit more burdened. This is like a weird trinket change. Basically, they made it to where you get a small trinket upgrade buff. Like, it's 250 gold, and it just changes the Greater Stealth Totem to a 60-second cooldown, Greater Vision Totem to 120-second cooldown, Farsight Orb into a 250. You know, it's just like, I'm not really sure how this is going to fall into the game, because I think this is when you back and you have like a lot of items and already, and you have like a little small gold value, you're going to be getting this upgrade. And it's also like really helpful for when you have 6 items, because you'll actually be able to have these trinkets up all the time. Like 60-second cooldown on a Greater Stealth Totem is like pretty good actually, especially when the totem lasts 3 minutes. So this might actually become pretty effective late game on some people if you don't have any room for wards. Let's see, Howling Abyss Aura. Oh yeah, and they made Oracle's Lens 75-second cooldown. I don't think that Riot really likes Oracle's Lens that much, because it's just too good at. There's too many ways that you can deny vision in the game now. Like, you have the Wraith Camp now as a jungler, and of course you have Oracle's Lens. So you have more ways where you can actually deny vision in the game now. So that's why they increased this. Howling Abyss doesn't matter. New player rune changes, I don't care about that. Ability bar updates, don't care. Bug fixes, don't care. Well, anyways, that's the end of the patch note rundown, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and good luck in the ranked season. And also, don't forget to cheer for us in the LCS. Oh, I almost fell out of the chair. With Team Gravity. And I'll see you guys next time.